We're going to reach down in there, Sam.
Okay.
Oh, you are.
Hi, good evening. Welcome to Community Homeworks. Tonight our class is on how to build a rain barrel. This is part of our Green Living series, which is brought to us through a grant made possible through the generous support of Kalamazoo Community Foundation's Love Where You Live Environment Fund. Again, that's Kalamazoo Community Foundation's Love Where You Live Community Fund. We're really appreciative of their support of these programs that we are presenting through our virtual classes. We're trying to do one Green Living class every month and hope you will enjoy tonight's class. Our instructor tonight is Sam Ewbank, who is a master carpenter and knows how to do everything possible to fix your house or to build a rain barrel. If you, when this class is over, would like a rain barrel, we can secure barrels for you, we hope. So shoot me an email and let me know within the next couple of days, and we'll try to round up some barrels for you in the next couple of weeks so that you can do this at home. At the end of class, Jason will post a list of supplies that you will need. Everything is available at Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, whatever big box or small hardware store you prefer to use. They should all have the supplies needed. So again, thank you for joining us tonight. And here is Sam.
Hi, Jean.
Hi, Sam. Glad you're here.
Glad to be here. Almost didn't make it, but here we are. So we're going to build a rain barrel tonight. And if you want to, here's kind of the basic tools that we need for that. And look, before I get ahead of myself, rain barrels you can help, store water coming off your gutter and then use it in your garden for watering. You can link multiple rain barrels together so you can really build out your capacity of water storage. Especially during drought, it's handy to have. I have a friend who keeps his garden alive basically by catching water off the roof. Kind of rule of thumb for the amount of water coming off a roof is about per every 1,000 square feet of footprint, of the roof that you have, or the footprint of your house. And after an inch of rain, you get 623 gallons coming off of there. So you can really, good rain's going to fill up a rain barrel and then some. So if you link them together or create more, or if you're only catching off a smaller roof, a 55-gallon barrel will do the trick. You might, if you really like this, you can get big, water storage containers in that if that's something you want to pursue.
What happens if this gets full? Will the lid pop off, or does it explode, or?
We're going to put an overflow into this, because this is most likely going to be right next to your house, right? And so once the water fills up in the tank, you want to be able to divert that water out and away from your house like your gutters would. You don't want it pooling up and
you don't want this sitting in a small lake.
Right. Well, or water getting down into your basement or foundation or causing other issues. So we'll first kind of go through the materials we're going to use tonight, build the rain barrel, and then talk about how to hook it up in that. So
great.
What we're going to do, we're going to use this little PVC adapter. It's a 1-inch, I believe, by 3/4-inch threads, and it has a couple of O-rings on it. So for the spout part that's going to be at the bottom that you would hook your hose to, here are the three things you need for the way we're assembling this one. There are a few different ways to do this. You can do another kind of a hose adapter and screw it in, but we don't have that piece with us tonight. But this is a simple enough way, but it does take 2 people. So or typically, or you have to have really long arms or with a long wrench. I've done it before with holding this piece with the pair of channel locks. And basically we'll drill a hole in the tank, clean it off. This piece comes in from the inside, this piece comes in from the outside, and we screw it together. And then the O-rings and a little bit of silicone on there are going to create the drain or the seal. So, and then the other part is how does the water get into the rain barrel? And with these barrels, they have what's called a bung or a bung hole. And so you can take this. Sometimes you need a bung wrench, and that fits into the grooves of the top, spins out. But you can also use a pair of channel locks in there or other channel locks on the sides to get this open if you don't have one of these.
And if we get the barrels, we could open that for them.
Absolutely.
And then they wouldn't have to have that device.
Right. So.
Because it's probably the only thing you'd ever use it for. Or most people at least.
Right.
You might use it for something else.
I'm not sure. Tenderizing meat maybe. So flattening out tofu. Yeah. So why don't we start with the top, since we've got the barrel down here on the ground, and it's pretty simple. It's a 4-piece assembly. You've got this is a 2-inch pipe thread. And so you have what's called a 2-inch pipe thread adapter. And this simply will screw in to the top like so. And then you cut a small piece of 2-inch PVC that slips in there. And then you've got a 2-inch to 3-inch adapter here. And that basically creates a funnel. And then you want to make sure you use a piece of small hardware cloth to make a screen. And that just kind of fits right in there by pressure. And then this will get set. This is where you'll end up putting the downspout. We have a part of a downspout here to go in there like that. So you might want to have a little bit of space in here to have it up higher, so that if you do get a bunch of leaves and stuff coming in, then you can get in there easily. And
so it doesn't have to sit right on that screen. The
Right.
water is going to obviously come through it and go in.
right.
What if you already have downspouts that come all the way down and hook to your elbow and go out away from your house? Do you have to cut this then to have a rain barrel?
Yep. Yeah, you would need to somehow intercept that. There are diverters available so that you can have, it's like a little Y fitting. And so it comes down and then has 2 legs that come off of it with a little switch on it.
Lever of some kind.
Yep. So then you can either just have it like in the wintertime when you don't want to be collecting ice or creating a very large ice cube. You want to be able to divert the water away.
Just fill this with punch and let it come out the bottom.
And then that's, the other consideration.
Do they need food grade barrels
Yes,
or need to be food grade
yes,
barrels?
they need to be food grade barrels.
Yep.
Okay.
They are available sometimes on Marketplace, sometimes on Craigslist. Or as I said, if you send us, that yes, I would like a barrel, I will try to secure some for you. I can't promise that they're going to say yes.
Okay. Yeah, so the difference between food grade and non-food grade is the release agent that they use in the plastics factory for making them. And that agent does or stays on the plastic. So yeah, definitely.
You're not poisoning your plants,
Right.
poison water.
Right.
Poisoning yourself if you put it on your
So
plants.
this does not have to sit in here. Obviously, you don't want it way up,
Right.
but you would want it so that when this comes through, as Sam said, the water will come out and go in here, but so that you can, just like when you clean your eaves and downspouts normally, stuff, stuff gets stuck in there, leaves and twigs and junk, and this way you can reach it out and it's sitting on this little screen that's down in there, and that will stop it from going into your rain barrel. Correct?
Yep, exactly.
All right, I got
So
that
one
much
other,
right.
so if you're, hooking this up to your house, and so the house is here, you might end up with a series of elbows after you cut this to get this over. And then in the winter
So you
time,
build a path over to it.
right, in the winter time, you might then bypass the rain barrel altogether, have a couple pieces that come on there if you don't have one of those diverters.
And if your rain barrel is empty and it gets to be, October, November, so that it doesn't freeze, can you just like take this part out and flip it upside down?
I've done that, yep.
So
But-
that it doesn't fill up with anything?
Right, yep, just set it off to the side, whatever. One other thing, this screen is not small enough to prevent mosquitoes, actually, laying their eggs into the water. So occasionally you check it, make sure you can put a mosquito dunk in there. That won't affect the plants or anything, but it will stop it from mosquitoes swarming.
Mosquito dunks are available at the big box stores by the other pesticides usually, where they have the Roundup and the stuff.
Whatever, ant stuff.
Yeah, ant stuff, that
yeah.
kind of stuff. What if you put a screen, like window screening, is that,
You can put a finer screen on,
and would that keep the mosquitoes out?
it will.
Okay,
Yep.
so you could take a piece of screen, especially if you rescreen a window and you've got a junk piece, set it over that. This would probably hold it in place,
It will.
just,
And even
pressure?
this piece, you could double those pieces up too.
mhm.
The only issue with that is then that reduces the flow of water going in here.
Okay.
So if you don't have, a bunch of screens on your gutters already, some sort of gutter shield or something like that, then this could, be overflowing, fill up with stuff, and you'll just have to have more maintenance and
Yeah.
cleaning it more often.
So if you don't want to use the mosquito dunks, and they're inexpensive,
Yeah, relatively.
and you get, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 in a package, which
Yep.
probably would get you through the whole summer with no problem.
Exactly.
Um,
Well, it depends on how many barrels.
Yes,
So-
well, yes, and if you have multiple barrels, like Sam would like to see us all have,
Right.
you might need more, but if you just have the one, and if you truly, use it, your barrel probably, 1 or 2 hooked together would be enough for most homes in this neighborhood, I would think.
Yeah, well, it depends on what you're watering.
Yeah.
Right, so,
Yeah, and how
it all
much you're gonna
depends.
water every time. so.
right. If you're trying to, keep a pond full, or some sort of water feature, you might need more. You've got a big vegetable garden, but if you just have the flowers or a smaller plot that you're trying to water, then this will definitely work well. So it all depends.
And then we'll get to the hose part. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry. I'll
It's all
stop.
good. It's been a while, Gene. We haven't
I
been
know.
doing this.
I know, it's like Sam and I are like, whoa, look at Sam in person.
All right, so now, one thing you want to consider, these are nice because they've got these lids that come off, right? And so you can slide this around, but you'll want to consider where the downspouts coming and where you're going to hook your hose to. So in this kind of application, we're just going to go opposite of, let's say this is the house, and we'll just have this coming out the front of the
But you
hose.
might want to plan ahead, is what Sam is saying.
Yeah. So,
Do
if you've
this
got
much.
right, if you've got a real narrow area and you don't want that hose sticking out the front, so if your spout collection is going to be back here, you might want to come off one of the sides or something.
Right,
So,
because you can put this hole wherever you want it, but you have to make sure that the downspout goes in that.
that works.
That's the non-movable part. This part's movable.
And then the other thing is I like to set them up on typically concrete blocks or bricks or something like that. So it gets off the ground, because you'll see when we hook this, when we end up putting this on, it's very low to the ground, and having some room for that hose to hook up to will,
Will
makes your
help.
life easier.
Yeah, well, and it'll prolong the life of the hose, so it's not
Yep.
kinked quite so hard and quickly.
And that height gives you actually a little more pressure in your hose. This is all low pressure, probably 4 or 5 PSI coming out. So it's not going to really, most soaker hoses are like 20 PSI. So unless you have this up 4 or 5 feet, it might not power a soaker hose that well, but it will trickle down into the garden in that. So. All right.
And it's not as hard on your back to get down there and
There's
open it
that
up.
too. Yeah, because, and open it up and undo the hose at the end of the season and all that stuff. So, so since this comes off, we're gonna take that off.
And Sam and I are going to attempt the next step.
Right. Well, so we want this.
Would you like a marker to mark where you'd like to go?
That would be professional. But usually you want to be about 2 inches up off the bottom. That'll allow the solids, and you're going to get, what do you call that? Pollen and dust and dirt and everything. And that's just going to settle down. And so that won't, you want to be up above that a little bit. You don't want to be right at the bottom. But this has this little beveled edge here. It's not a barrel. Some barrels come straight all the way down. This one's beveled at the top and the bottom. So we're going to go up a little higher. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball that there so that this is above that edge. So it looks like we'll end up probably, for this one, we're about 3.25 inches up off the ground, or up from the bottom of the barrel.
And hopefully up higher depending on what you put it at.
Right. So we'll lay this down.
And I didn't crawl in the barrel, huh?
No, you're just going to hold it for right now.
Okay.
If you want to get on that side.
I will gladly sit wherever you tell
If
me
you
to
want,
be, Sam.
I wouldn't recommend crawling in the barrel right now because I'm going to drill a hole through it.
Well, yeah, thanks. That would be a great.
Can the barrels of this type be painted?
Absolutely. So there is plastic paint, and actually a number of years ago, my son participated in a rain barrel painting contest. So you can spray, you just want to look for paint that will go, that sticks to plastic. So, and then clean the barrel real well prior to that so that it'll, has its best chance of adhering. So for a 3/4 inch, this is a 3/4 inch thread on this, which means we're going to use a 1-inch hole saw. And a hole saw is basically just a way to drill a larger hole. I drilled a hole earlier in a piece of plastic, but it's got a pilot bit, and then the sides here are serrated, and we'll cut the hole through the plastic. And you don't have to get a big fancy one if you're just cutting plastic. So
Plug your ears.
yeah, and then just try and keep it
Straight?
well, perpendicular to the hole you're cutting. 2 hands. All right. Safety glasses. You guys got safety glasses?
Yes.
I left mine out.
There should be some right on the table, maybe.
Okay, my apologies.
No
Safety
problem.
first. All right, don't look cheap.
I'll put my head in the barrel.
Plastic I cut earlier. This should have been cut.
Going up the drill, huh? Or saw.
There you go.
Obviously, you know when you get through. This is really not that thick.
Yeah, these are about 1/8 of an inch overall. And then I
Take a
usually
picture down the hole.
will take my knife and just kind of clear any burrs. Make sure nothing's there. It's not likely to be rough, but I just want to make sure that there's no little pieces stuck in there so that we get a nice solid fit. And then since we are going to use a little silicone on here, on this side, you want to clean that if you can. Soap and water will work, and as long as you dry it off and rinse it off. But this is denatured alcohol, and also known as stove fuel. Smells a little bad, but not as bad as some solvents. But you just need a little bit. I've got a rag.
Oh, okay.
And all I've done is got the rag moist, and just gonna clean this edge off. And then one nice thing about denatured alcohol is it dries
Quickly and on its own, and really, I don't smell it. Do you smell it, Lori? So
Not
it's
really.
it's not like you can't do this in your garage.
So with this method, it is a two-person style method. Jean's gonna reach in, maybe, or maybe I will, and hold this. Now, if this is too hard for you to hold, Jean, well, and then I'm gonna screw that on. There's two washers on there.
I literally have to crawl in the barrel.
Okay. Do you want to switch places?
Yeah, let's try that.
All right.
Sam's arms are way longer than mine.
Okay. So we're gonna around this, put a little silicone.
Silicone for exterior use, right?
Mhm.
Like you're using one that says window and door.
This smells
It's-
more than the,
Kind of like glue, guys.
yeah, it's a sealant, so it will adhere everything, but also stay flexible, which is what you want. You just hold on to that, and then I'll reach the piece up through.
Do you want the channel locks or anything in case your arms
Let's
aren't long
see.
enough? Oh, Sam's long enough. Okay, hang on, Sam, I'm screwing it on.
Oops, you're a little crooked.
It smells like honey in here.
Okay, come and check, Sam. I bet it needs to be tighter, but you come to tell me.
Okay, well, let's get
The channel lock?
locks on there. I'm sorry.
And maybe with the channel locks, I could reach and you can screw it on tighter.
The slip joint pliers is what technically they are. So, well, do you want a channel lock on the outside here, and
Okay.
I can turn it from the inside?
Oh, okay.
You just-
So I'm gonna just hold it steady.
Mhm.
Let me get it there so it's pointed towards the bottom. I think when you find another person to help, make sure one of them's strong.
Thin enough to fit in a barrel.
You're moving it, Sam.
I'm supposed to.
Okay, so now it's crooked. So I guess I don't understand what we're trying to do.
I'm trying to tighten it. I'm gonna spin it. Okay, still a little loose. And what I'm going to do is add a little more caulking on the inside. Are we putting this out today? So I'd like this to be a little tighter, but
Okay.
since it's not, I'm going to caulk the interior.
Okay.
So.
I'm gonna focus on you, Gene, because
This isn't it, yeah.
Because you can't see Sam. His head is in the barrel.
yep.
Sam's head and arms in the caulk gun are deep inside the barrel.
As long as he's not go over Niagara Falls, we're okay.
Oh, we could roll him off the table, couldn't we? You can tell we haven't had contact with people in way too long, right?
It's like me.
Yeah, this doesn't make for good video, sorry.
Well, and I'm trying to not cover it up,
Okay.
but yet I feel like I need to hold on to it.
Okay, so,
Oh, that feels nice and
well, it should be snug, and then the caulking is gonna set and should be watertight.
to seal it up just
Yeah.
fine, and it shouldn't leak. If it leaks, can you put more caulking around
You
the
can, but you
outside too?
need to dry it out again
Okay.
and get it cleaned off again.
There's that little spot right there. I don't know if it needs more caulk. I can't see from here.
Well, it wouldn't hurt to put some on right now.
While it's still wet.
Yes. And tool it in there.
Can you just use your finger?
I'm gonna go ahead and go around it, and then I will.
Sam's a much better caulker than I. My finger would be in there.
Now, if you're gonna paint this, you might want to paint it first before adding the caulking, because silicone caulking typically does not hold paint. And we're using a clear here.
So if that's important to you to have it painted, paint before you caulk, before you assemble. Cut your hole and then paint.
All right, so let's set that on the ground. So we got our spout. We'll put our lid on. Now, we don't have another fitting for the overflow, right?
Oh, I think we do.
Oh,
I think there's another one. Right?
no, that's another,
Just like that?
yeah,
Okay.
that's another funnel.
What do we need?
Well, so what we would do is how we put on that fitting there, the one we just put on, we drill the same thing up here and then be able to hook a garden hose off of that, but it doesn't have to have a valve on it.
That, okay, so
Right.
you would just need the hose connector part,
Right,
which is the part we don't have.
exactly. So, but that's in the list of materials that Jason will have. Now, another alternative, if you, because this, like I was saying, you get a lot of water in these things. And you can use what's called a uniseal, which is simply, a rubber fitting. You drill out and then you can slide a piece of PVC pipe in there and that's it, it's done. So,
So you would drill a hole up here,
yep, do you want to do that?
pop this in,
Yeah,
so when it gets too full, the water will just come.
come out the side,
Yeah.
right, and then you would pipe that somewhere, have a hose there.
Except this is really big for a hose.
That is big for a hose, but so this piece goes through that hole,
Okay,
right? And maybe we should go ahead and drill the hole and put it on. But when this fits through, it's hard to do. But when this fits through, it's a watertight seal.
mhm.
So.
But then how do you hook the hose, or do you
And
just
then you
stick it in?
would, then you would buy PVC fittings that would
reduce down to the
Yeah.
home size.
Or you would just keep using PVC. And since this is under, very low pressure, you don't really need to like glue the pieces together. You would just buy an elbow and then a piece that goes down to the ground and another elbow and a piece that goes out so that it's out away from the house.
So you could build your own eaves trough down the side, basically.
Right. Or this could go into, you could use this to go into another barrel, right? And
So
fill
if you
up
wanted
another
to
barrel.
hook barrels together,
Yeah.
you would do another one just like this.
Well, it wouldn't have to have collection because this would fill up another barrel
Right.
just stick
But a
in.
barrel like this,
Mhm,
and then that to chain them together
exactly.
with the rubber sealer thing on
Yep.
each side.
Yep,
So when this gets full, the water would then go to this barrel and fill up.
exactly.
And then how does do you still have to have a spigot on the bottom of the other one? Because how's the water going to come from the
You
bottom
either
to
put
this
a,
one?
right, you either put a spigot on there or you actually have another filler at the bottom. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So. you
But
would-
usually there's another spigot on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would build basically two of these other than this part
Exactly.
and then hook them together
Hmm.
and chain them as many as you want together.
Right.
But you need a spigot for each one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the water doesn't have enough pressure to come up, go through the pipe back down to this.
Could you
Right.
use rubbing alcohol?
Yes, but it's way more expensive. So, but it will still clean and dry off quickly.
Unless you already have some at home, then it's not
Right.
expensive.
I mean, it's not that much that we use there. So,
A lot of people have rubbing alcohol at home for
Mhm.
other purposes, so. All right. Do we want to pretend we're going to hook them together? Let's not.
okay.
You would use a much larger hole saw, obviously.
So if you were, this thing's called the Unisil, Uniseal. And I think Gale's Hardware can special order these. They're not something you find on a store shelf around here.
Okay.
But you can also order them through the internet. But I think Gale's can special order for you. But then you would need, depending on what size, this is for a 2-inch pipe, you would need to buy a 3-inch hole saw. And each size of Uniseal has you buy the appropriate sized hole saw for it. But they're slick and you don't have to crawl in a barrel to hook them up. So,
You just have to crawl in the barrel to put the spigot back in.
right.
Does anyone have any questions? This is fun. This was not hard. It wasn't hard because Sam knows what he's doing, but find somebody with long arms to help you. That would be my first suggestion.
Right. Well, so, another alternative is that piece that we put on there, if we had a metal one similar to that, would actually thread into the barrel itself because they've got slightly bigger threads and you would just silicone that on and that's called a hose adapter, 3/4 inch hose adapter. So same size 1-inch hole saw that you would use for that.
Lori, I don't know if you could get a good picture of it, but
3/4 inch hose adapter. Yep.
okay. And you would silicone that in, but it does just screw into the barrel.
Yep. Now, a friend of mine by the name of Tommy Malley developed a way to have a nut and screw that on, but he made a tool for holding the nut in place. And so he would reach that down into the barrel and then was able to screw that adapter on. So I've never actually seen it in practice, but he says it works.
Well, we have always used the hose adapter when Jason has taught this class. And then we were talking about it the other day, and Brett, our construction manager, said this is what he does. So he went and got the parts so
They
we
work
could
great.
try it.
Yeah.
So either way, it's your choice. Whatever works for you. You probably just can't use the nut thing because we don't have Tom's tool.
Tommy, if you're listening,
Yes.
we'd like to see that. So.
I haven't seen Tommy Mail in years. But any other questions?
All right.
Well, again, I guess I would like to thank you for watching this evening. We hope you have learned how to do this. Please remember that you can always go back and, you know, this is filmed. It is stored on our Facebook page and our YouTube. And again, we'd like to thank the Kalamazoo Community Foundation, Love Where You Live Environment Fund for making this show possible. And again, thanks for watching. Thursday night, we are having one of our Let's Talk Housing Talks with Michael Evans from the Kalamazoo Literacy Council. He's a very good speaker and really interesting man if you can take the time to watch at 4 o'clock. Or there again, it will also be on YouTube and on Facebook. We will have class next Tuesday also, so please join us then. Thanks for coming this evening. Bye.
See ya.
Still, okay.